Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Let's welcome to the stage from News Radio 950 WWJ and Civic Center TV, Brooke Allen.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. Of course, this is the first ever Greater West Bloomfield State of the Communities, and we are at Abbott Middle School in the cafeteria. And I am WWJ News Radio 950's Brooke Allen, and I'm also able to host The Splash on Mondays, which airs on Civic Center TV. So again, thank you for being with us tonight. For those of you in our live audience, thank you for taking time out of your Monday evening to join us for this historic event. And for those of you watching on Civic Center TV or listening on 89.3 WBLD, the all-new Lakes FM, or via our live streams, we thank you as well for being with us. And this live broadcast is also being recorded and will be available later for you to watch over and over again at civiccentertv.com, so keep that in mind. At this time, I would like to invite all of you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much. You may be seated. So it is no coincidence that tonight kicks off Sunshine Week. It is a nationwide celebration of public access to government information. And Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commissioner Deb Macon will be with us later to tell us a little bit more and explain about Sunshine Week. But tonight we will hear from the elected officials and leaders of Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield, and a few other selected special guests. And at the end of our presentation, our speakers will answer questions from you, so start thinking about it right now, your questions that you're going to ask them later from you, the audience. So joining us is Keego Harbor Mayor John Fletcher, Orchard Lake Mayor Bruce McIntyre, West Bloomfield Township Supervisor Steve Kaplan, and Sylvan Lake Mayor Aaron Lorenz. And of course, you know this is coming. If you have not already done so, please silence your cell phones. And we also ask you, this is very important, we also ask you not to interrupt our presenters while they're speaking other than applause. So if you feel the need to clap and you're inspired to do so, please feel free to do that. Applause is welcome anytime. In fact, you could do it right now if you wanted. So tonight's event is produced by the Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission. I would also like to recognize members of the commission in attendance, and please ask them to stand. Thank you so much, and we appreciate what you do. So earlier today, I don't know how many of you listened to WWJ News Radio 950. I know if you're stuck in traffic, you probably do. But as I said, I am the afternoon co-anchor, and I was actually lucky enough to have Keego Harbor Mayor John Fletcher with us this afternoon. Mondays is our Mayor Monday segment. We do it every Monday. So we've already heard from him once, but now I'm going to ask you to step up here and join us to kick off tonight's program. So please welcome Keego Harbor Mayor John Fletcher.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm John Fletcher, Mayor of Keego Harbor. I want to start out this evening by recognizing our former city manager, clerk, treasurer, Miss Linda Vole, who served our city with commitment that was second to none for 16 years. Our whole community is in mourning with her passing this past weekend, and our thoughts and our prayers are with her family. For anyone watching or listening who's not familiar with Keego Harbor, Keego is a safe, walkable, diverse, middle-class city with friendly residents, great schools, and has several dining establishments to enjoy. And with Sylvan and Cass Lakes on either side, we have year-round outdoor recreational opportunities. Keego is also a city of change. We have experienced a lot of change over the years, especially in our business district. We have transitioned from a small cottage community to a city with a picturesque, walkable downtown, complete with a theater, hardware, drugstore, and a roller rink. With time, our downtown has changed as well. The hardware is gone, and there is a gallery in its place. Rexall Drugs has changed to a Rite Aid, and Strong's roller rink is gone, and now there's a Hungry Howie's. The downtown Keego of the last century has been evolving into our business district of this century. The City Council and administration are working hard with the City Planner and the Planning Commission to help guide the upcoming changes with reasonable, practical ideas and expectations so that in the end, it will benefit our community both aesthetically and fiscally, with the goal that we are able to maintain our identity as a quaint, safe community to live in and to be proud of. With that in mind, there are a couple more changes on the horizon for our community. A new development that is well into the planning stage is the residences on Cass Lake. This new residential retail development is going in where the mobile home park currently is. This development boasts of shops, restaurants, and many other amenities, and over 200 luxury apartments. This project, as well as a new retail development on Cass Lake Road, are the two latest developments and changes that are coming to our business district. Change isn't always easy, but with vision and leadership, we can have development and still maintain our identity as a small, friendly city. Keego is changing beyond those developments as well, with 3 dance studios, 2 galleries, the local art sale events, 15 different places to dine. Keego Harbor is changing into a destination. Our residents have also experienced change. New homes and housing improvements have been taking place in most of our neighborhoods. We have seen the cottages of old change into the very expensive lakefront homes of today, yet in the same neighborhood, you can still buy a nice home for a modest and affordable price. We have adopted a no-fee permit program in May and June. This allows our residents to pull building permits for many home improvement projects with no permit fees. We have also worked hard to implement a road preservation program. The objective of this program is to replace all of our residential roads with no increase in taxes. To date, we have completed nearly 70% of the roads in our community, and we have done it completely without the need for any increase in taxes, even in the heart of the Great Recession. This year, we are going to keep pushing forward with this program. The City Council, City Manager, and DPW Department are planning this year's schedule with hopes of increasing the number of roads that we can complete this year. We are looking forward to utilizing grants to help us rebuild the section of Beelan Road next to Roosevelt School from the ground up. This will serve as a design model for our local neighborhood streets well into the future. We will be implementing modern stormwater management techniques and using the most advanced paving materials in this project. Now, thank you. Now that I have brought up Roosevelt Elementary School, I would be remiss if I did not talk about this exemplary school. Next year, Roosevelt School celebrates its 100th year of providing an excellent education to our children. For nearly a century, it has been a foundational cornerstone of our community and to the West Bloomfield education system, which we are proud to be a part of. We are proud to be part of an ever-changing educational system that has continued to stay up with technology, future industry needs, teaching techniques, and the building upgrades required to accommodate it. In Keego Harbor, Our local children walk to school at Roosevelt, as my mom did, as I did, as my kids did. If you're a parent that drives or walks your children to or from Roosevelt School, you undoubtedly have noticed another change in Keego, as every day you see that our Keego Harbor Police Department has patrol vehicles positioned near the school to monitor traffic, to slow it down, and to make their presence felt. At the same time, our police are patrolling our neighborhoods to protect our children. Most days, you will find John Fitzgerald in one of those police vehicles. John joined us last January and has already made an amazing difference in our community. One of the most noticeable changes that he has brought to the city is that he has reprioritized community policing. He is committed that community policing begins with protecting our neighborhoods. Our residents should have the confidence to know that when they need help from our police department, the average response time is under 2 minutes. When walking in our community, you are more likely than not to run into one of our professional, friendly officers because they do patrol our neighborhoods and they do interact with our residents. My hat is off to all of our officers, both full-time and part-time, for their commitment to our community. I would also like to thank the officers of Orchard Lake and Sylvan Lake Police Departments, as our 3 police departments not only offer, but rely on each other for backup and support on our calls. And in emergency situations, our 3 agencies come together as one. When the state was looking for examples of long-term collaboration of city services, they needed look no further than the Tri-Cities. Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake have been working in collaboration for decades through not only the cooperation of our police departments, but through all of our city departments. Our 3 communities, they banded together to provide fire protection with the Tri-City Fire Department. The Tri-City Fire Department was a volunteer fire department that served our communities very well. Today we receive our fire and medical emergency services through the West Bloomfield Fire Department, and yet we are still working together as the Tri-City Fire Board. As volunteers served on the Tri-City Fire Department in the past, volunteers have defined Keego Harbor, and Keego is a city that was built on volunteerism. We're in the middle of a generational change in our city that includes our elected officials, city staff, our committees, and our volunteers as well. Through this change, we are experiencing a surge in young, talented people that are eager to bring their fresh ideas, their vision, their talents, and their energy to our committees and our civic groups. With this commitment by the new volunteers, it ensures that we will be continuing to provide quality, free events like the Keego Harbor Easter egg hunt, where last year volunteers filled and placed over 5,600 eggs, and events like the Memorial Day Parade, the Taste of Keego, Skate Night, different art sale events, and we end our season with our tree lighting and holiday party. The volunteers in our community make up the different committees and civic-based clubs like the Garden Club that keeps our city beautiful by planting and maintaining flowers throughout the city and its parks. The Optimist Club that offers scholarships to local college-bound students. Art sales that provide opportunities for local artists. And the Jacket Club, who helps our residents at times of need. I would like to move to discussing the financial status of our city. Keego Harbor is financially sound and has a healthy fund balance, which is our savings account. Our fund balance is at around 30% of the annual budget of the city. This amount is above the recommended level by the state for a healthy community to have. We owe this to the spending disciplines that have been exercised by our previous and our current council and administrations. With a total budget of around $2 million, we spend approximately 65% of that on public safety. With the remaining budget, we take care of the rest of the city's expenditures, including the administration, DPW, professional services, supplies, trash and recycle pickup, and build new roads. Even with all of those expenditures, we have been able to stay under our budget and put money back into our savings account each year for the last 10 years. Thank you. Thank you. The current city council, along with our city staff, are continuing to be good stewards of the city's tax revenue and are committed to continuing to provide the best city services that we can without the need for any future increases in taxes. We are currently reviewing the city's storm water system, including a complete review of all manholes, drains, and culverts. As part of this ongoing review, we are surveying all of the city-owned land in Franleaf Park and around Dollar Lake. With this survey, we have realized that there is a large amount of city-owned land that's being underutilized and in some areas neglected. It is my goal to have the City Council, the Planning Commission, the Parks and Recreation Commission work together to review this property and try to envision the long-term possibilities for residential recreational uses. Wouldn't it be nice if we could have a boardwalk on Dollar Lake that our kids can fish from, or to have a place to paddleboard or kayak from out of Franleaf Park or Dollar Lake? The possibilities are very exciting, and I'm looking forward to being a part of it. This could be another change coming to our city that we can all enjoy. I hope that tonight I have been able to orient anyone not familiar with Keego Harbor, that it is a vibrant, safe community that offers many benefits to its residents, and it should be one of your destinations. So come to Keego, have a nice meal at one of our restaurants, grab an ice cream at the Baskin Robbins or Dairy Queen, park at Roosevelt School, walk a block to the west, and take a stroll along Willow Beach Street, where we'll have some of the most scenic views of Cass Lake and meet some of our friendly residents. For our residents, I hope that the information that I have presented tonight will give you the comfort in knowing that your city council and administration and police department are all committed to improving our services and the quality of life in Keego Harbor. We will accomplish this through fiscal discipline, good judgment, and the planning that is needed to continue to improve our neighborhoods and direct the change in the business district while at the same time maintaining our identity as a small, safe, diverse city. Tonight I have talked a lot about change. And now I'm asking all of our residents to join myself and your city council, and let's walk down the road of change together. Let's work together for our common cause, our community. Let's remember the Keego of the past, and let's embrace the Keego of the future. If we work together, we can direct the future changes coming to our community to keep our identity, our diversity, and to continue to improve the quality of life for ourselves and for our children. Thank you. Good night.
And again, that was Keego Harbor Mayor John Fletcher speaking. Thank you so much. I'm looking for a new house. Maybe I'll try Keego. Tonight's State of the Communities comes to you live from Abbott Middle School, and you're also hearing us on 89.3 WBLD, the all-new Lakes FM, and you're also watching us on Civic Center TV and viewing the live stream on civiccentertv.com. Remember, later in this program, members of our audience, that would be all of you, will have the opportunity to ask questions of our four presenters, so keep that in mind. This event's focus is local, yet we are tonight a part of a very important nationwide effort known as Sunshine Week. And we did see some sunshine today. It was kind of amazing. Here to tell us more is Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commissioner Deb Macon.
Sunshine Week started in 2005 by the American Society of News Editors. It is an annual nationwide celebration of access to public information and what access means to residents and communities. It focuses on the importance of open, transparent, and accountable government. For the government to be of the people, by the people, and for the people, it must be open to the people. This spirit inspired both of Michigan's sunshine laws, the Open Meetings Act and the Freedom of Information Act. The Open Meetings Act, known as the OMA, applies to all government bodies that are empowered by the state constitution, statute, charter, ordinance, resolution, or rule that exercises governmental authorities. For each city council, the Township Board, and all public bodies appointed by them, each must inform the public. These public bodies must not only conduct most of their meetings in public, they must make all public policy deliberations and decisions in the open as well. Accessible and accountable government is vital to establishing and maintaining public trust and confidence. Michigan's second sunshine law is the Freedom of Information Act. It regulates and sets requirements for disclosure of public records. This is to ensure right of access to inspect and receive copies of government documents. The Greater West Bloomfield Cable Communications Commission is proud to have drafted, deliberated, and adopted its own Sunshine Week resolution for each of the past 10 years. Modeling this standard of openness, accessibility, and accountability is integral to the Commission's mission, vision, and operations. Sunshine Week lasts but 7 days, and it's up to all of us to keep the sun shining on government all year. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. So as I mentioned earlier, I don't know, am I saying it too much? I'm Brooke Allen from WWJ News Radio 950. And I hope you'll tune in 2 to 7. My co-anchor is Greg Bowman. I also invite you, okay, I have to confess, he's also my husband. A lot of people don't know that. Some people say, I thought so. No. So I also invite you, if you had not done so already, to watch The Splash, which is Civic Center TV's weekly news magazine. This is our community's very own local television show, featuring people you know, maybe they're even sitting next to you, and sharing their lives every day. And we call it television that's close to home. And that does hit home, because that's pretty much what it's all about. So you can watch The Splash on Civic Center TV, also online at civiccentertv.com. So sitting in our geographic center of our four communities is Orchard Lake. And our presenters tonight represent various types of municipal entities. So joining us now is Mayor Bruce McIntyre, Mayor of Orchard Lake.
Good evening. I've already learned a lot about Keego Harbor that I didn't know. So by the end of the evening, I'm going to know even more about all these communities. I want to welcome you to Orchard Lake because I think most of you know that you are in the city limits of Orchard Lake at Abbott School. So nice to have you here. Historians say that if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going. So let's look back a little bit at our city. Orchard Lake was carved out of West Bloomfield as a village in 1928. There weren't many people there at the time. The vote to incorporate was 92-5. Before that, the only points of interest in the previous century in what's now Orchard Lake, which was then West Bloomfield, were the Michigan Military Academy, which became the Orchard Lake Seminary that you know, the site of the Polish Fair, which we understand is the largest outdoor fair in Michigan, and which I know many of you have gone to. Also, the Presbyterian Church on Commerce Road, which was founded in the late 1800s, and the Detroit Interurban Railway that brought tourists to this area before automobiles. The Interurban, many of you know, ran between Orchard and Pine Lakes and paralleled the Grand Trunk Railroad, which is now the West Bloomfield Nature Trail. When tourists got cars, they congregated at places like Wilkins Corners, where there was a roadhouse and gas station, at Orchard Lake Road and Pontiac Trail. And that began an influx of people who converted farmland into a community, then a village, and in 1964, Orchard Lake finally incorporated into being a city. Orchard Lake is about 4 square miles in size, but nearly half of that is underwater. It's a long way from one end of the city to the other, 4.5 miles. We're on 3 lakes, 8.5 miles of shoreline. Orchard Lake is entirely in the city limits, and parts of Cass and Upper Straits Lakes. Also, it's interesting that Orchard Lake is at the intersection of 3 watersheds, the Clinton, Huron, and Rouge Rivers. This is where they meet, and it's also the area that Native Americans use for portaging. Over the years, the City Council and the citizens of Orchard Lake made a number of decisions that are very beneficial to people who live here now. $15.3 million in bonds were issued in the 1990s for the installation of the water and sewer system throughout the city. Bonds were also issued for the construction of the Tri-City Fire Station that's been referred to earlier, which is the building just down the street, paid for also by Keego and Sylvan. $5.7 million in bonds were issued for the purchase of the Orchard Lake Nature Sanctuary property on Pontiac Trail, west of Old Orchard Trail, which is now open to everyone. The good news is that all of those bond issues were fully paid off several years ago, so the city has no debt. Years ago, as Mayor Fletcher said, the Tri-City Fire Department provided services with paid on-call personnel, but about 16 years ago, the 3 cities entered into a contract with West Bloomfield to operate that department. That has meant 24-hour coverage for the 3 cities with advanced medical care. And also, it also benefited the residents in the northeast corner of West Bloomfield. So where's Orchard Lake now? What are we facing? The population is stable, about 2,600. Unlike the other communities, we do not have development issues because there's very little room to grow. You'd be hard-pressed to find a building lot right now. The majority of the residential construction around the city is tear-downs and rebuilds. And unlike our neighbors, we have very little commercial property, just 2 small districts at either end of the city. So we're dependent largely on the residents to pay the bills. There's no commercial tax money coming in large amounts. The recession was hard on our city finances, just as our other cities and townships. We've been able to bounce back. However, this will be the first year that the city's taxable value gets back to where it was before it dropped. Why did it take so long? I think some of you know, in a recession, there is no limit on how far assessed values can drop. But due to Proposal A, there is a limit on how quickly they can rise. That means it's taken a decade to restore our tax base. The city has a dedicated staff and a great police department, which made sacrifices during the recession. Pay cuts, pay freezes, they deserve our thanks for that. We also should thank the citizens of Orchard Lake who accepted higher tax rates to make up for the declining values. Without that, we would have been in very bad shape. Today, I would say that we're stable but still facing some challenges. One of them is that we have outgrown City Hall, particularly in the police department. A study is going on right now to determine what to do about that. Like most cities, we must deal with unfunded liabilities for pensions and other post-employment benefits. That includes retiree health care for employees. This is for people already retired and those who will retire in the future. The city has about as many retirees as it does active employees. Our pension fund is funded at about the 70% level, and we're paying more into the fund than required. We pay for our retiree health care out of the current budget, and our projections show that this cost is gradually going to decline. So in both cases, we're in good condition because of decisions that were made almost 20 years ago. All of our new employees hired since 2000 are on defined contribution pensions and have a health savings plan for retirement. The other major obligation that we face is the upkeep of roads like the other cities and townships. But cities, unlike townships, have an obligation to maintain local streets. The county maintains Orchard Lake Road, Pontiac Trail, and Commerce Road. But Orchard Lake must maintain two heavily traveled roads, Old Orchard Trail and Indian Trail. The state never provides enough money from road taxes to cover the costs, so the local taxpayer needs to pick up the difference. During the recession, we had to cut all of our road spending, and of course that made the roads worse. Now we're catching up, and it's costly. We rate the condition of each road and street according to the PASER system, and each year we base our repairs on those conditions. However, there's an additional cost. Oakland County has a tri-party program for roads maintained by the Road Commission, but located within each city. The county, the Road Commission, and the local municipality each put in 1/3. Typically, these projects were road improvements, meaning things like added traffic lanes or new signals. However, the Road Commission has directed part of this money toward road maintenance. Recently, Commerce Road underwent a major resurfacing. It's a county road. It was a badly needed repair, but it would not have happened if Orchard Lake had not participated by contributing $70,000 from its general fund. In other words, city funds were spent to maintain a county road while we're scraping for funds to keep up our local streets. So to summarize, Orchard Lake is in pretty good shape, as good as anything I've seen in the 20 years I've been on the council. It's been possible due to a number of very devoted council members. If you'll just hold that slide for a minute so we can identify my colleagues. I want to mention in closing that we have a strong collaborative relationship, as Mayor Fletcher said, with all of the other communities. We share the fire department, police dispatch by West Bloomfield very professionally. We belong to the West Bloomfield Library, and our police departments share a mutual aid pact. Every department will answer in an emergency, and I know this will continue. So I thank you for the opportunity to share Orchard Lake's story and take any questions that you may have after this.
Thank you very much, Mayor McIntyre. As the mayor said, Orchard Lake is the home of Abbott Middle School, where we are this very moment. And right next door is the Tri-City Fire Station that provides support for Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and Sylvan Lake. And operating that station is the West Bloomfield Fire Department. And with us tonight is Chief Greg Flynn.
Good evening and greetings from the men and women of the West Bloomfield Fire Department. Because of your continued support, the West Bloomfield Fire Department is prepared and ready to respond to emergencies in all 4 of our communities. As we approach the end of this month, I'm very pleased to announce that Assistant Fire Chief Andrew Besnaw is going to retire after 25 years of service to our communities. And I'm also very pleased, tonight joining me here is Captain Mark Lowry, and this is our first public announcement that Captain Lowry will be the next Assistant Fire Chief here at the West Bloomfield Fire Department. We have a great leadership team at the WBFD. But better than our leadership team is our operations team. The firefighters and the paramedics that you see on the street every day answering the calls for service. They're the firefighters that are showing up in your children's schools and educating them on injury and fire prevention. They're the paramedics that are in your front room while helping a loved one with chest pain. They're members of our Fire Marshals Division that you see in and out of all of our community businesses, assuring that they're safe and operational, those restaurants that we all want you to enjoy, that you are safe while you're inside and dining. All of those things take place because of your support in replacement of fire apparatus, our ambulances, and a very special show of support from West Bloomfield Township Board here as we replace Fire Station number 3, a building that will be there for decades to come and serve all 4 of our communities. Meeting your expectations are our top priority, and that's really what I look at every day when I talk to the firefighters and paramedics, is to make sure that we're making sure that that happens. The quality of the care that you receive is our highest priority. Now, often I'll get asked by folks, Chief, how many runs did you pull this year? And as members of the Tri-City Fire Board know, and as we have our quarterly meetings and we discuss the fire department for well over an hour, and if you're ever looking for something riveting, we'd encourage you to tune in to the Tri-City Fire Board meetings here on Civic Center TV. But what we talk about at that meeting is the importance not to grade your fire department based on the number of runs that we pull. We want you to base the grade of the fire department on the outcomes that we produce. We want to make sure that when you're in the care of our paramedics, that you know that you're safe and you're feeling better. When you smell smoke or something seems dangerous in your home and the firefighters show up, that you feel safer because we're there. And that's what makes the WBFD such a great department. But I do need your help. As we look to the future and public safety across the board, and I think I speak on behalf of my colleagues on the police side, we continue to see a decline in the young men and women that are choosing with a servant's heart to serve their communities. And so I ask each and every one of you to help us encourage young men and women, people of color, to join our ranks. We need you to help encourage them to go to the community colleges and get involved in the education that it will take, so we continue to have a professional stream of employees ready to work and serve our communities. Thank you for the time tonight. Thank you for the support of the West Bloomfield Fire Department, and wish you all the best.
Well, I guess if I'm ever looking for another job, I can go back to school. Thank you again, Chief Flynn. Our first responders, many of you are with us tonight, and you play a key role in our communities, and for that, we'd like to say thank you. So the most populous of our 4 communities is our only township. As such, it has no mayor but a supervisor, and that is Supervisor Steve Kaplan.
Welcome, everybody. You heard that Brooke Allen indicated she's looking for a home, possibly in Keego Harbor. Brooke, we have 4 real estate brokers waiting for you outside tonight. When you think of West Bloomfield, when we on the inside think of West Bloomfield, we think that we exhibit teamwork. Now, you might remember in prior terms, prior to November 20, 2016, there might have been some acrimony, some disagreements on the board, and because of that, our meetings were overpopulated. We had to provide chairs all the way down the hallway. But that doesn't exist now. We have a great team, I think, and we have 3 of the board members here tonight. We have Trustee Howard Rosenberg. Howard. Trustee Jonathan Warshay. Jonathan. And Treasurer Terry Weingarten. Well, the other board members are Clerk Debbie Binder and Trustee Diane Swimmer and Trustee Jim Manna. Now, in terms of occupations on the Township Board, we have 2 lawyers, a real estate broker, a nurse, a chiropractor, what am I missing here? Another lawyer, and then we have an international automobile customs expert. So other than the 2 lawyers, we're doing well. We think we exhibit friendliness at Town Hall. We have a diverse work staff now, and also our boards and commissions. We strive to gain diversity on those boards based on skill, based on achievements. And I think if you watch our board and commission meetings, you'll see we have some very talented people. And these individuals volunteer their time to ensure that our zoning regulations are maintained, that our planning code is upheld. And these people work for maybe $60, $65 per meeting when the meetings might last 2 to 3 hours, and the work involved is monumental. So we appreciate them. Now by the way, John Fletcher, Mayor of Keego Harbor, he and I were going to make a joint presentation, but John was concerned that my height would tower over him. So thank you, John. And so our board, this is our 28th month. We hope we've achieved some success. And we've had a balanced budget every year. Of course, we're required to under the law, but financially, we're in a very good state. We have our legacy costs are fairly minimal. Our pensions, our retiree health care, we're funded at close to 90%. And that should give the residents, they should have some heart, they take heart in that, which means that if there's another decline in the economy and real estate values, we will be in a position to sustain that. We will not have to cut services. We will not have to reduce people's pay, and we're happy about that. When West Bloomfield was founded, we had our 185th birthday. We celebrated that on April 22, and that means that West Bloomfield is older than Dave Scott, Dave Alberry, and Bruce McIntyre, and me, so we're happy about that. Chief Flynn mentioned the Fire Station 3. Now, Fire Station 3 was constructed in about 1965, and it's just a work of heart and love by Chief Flynn and his staff, because that fire department outlived its purpose. We had firefighters residing there up to 48 hours in succession, and the building declined. So the town board decided the investment was necessary, and we might be spending close to $5.5 million on that fire station. But part of the good news is it's bonded. We're bonding it. Trustee Rosenberg and I think Treasurer Weingarten initiated the idea, let's bond some of the costs. And that saves money long run, but that relates now to our bond rating, which is AA+. That's the second highest rating a municipality can have. And it serves our public well, because when we do need bonding, we obtain lower interest rates and lower rates all along. Well, the groundbreaking at Fire Station 3, we expect it to open sometime June perhaps, and we hope all of you can attend, because we're very proud of that new station. And we're also proud of the teamwork that we've achieved with Orchard Lake, Keego Harbor, and Sylvan Lake. As you've heard, we share the same dispatching services. We provide those services. We also have the Tri-City Fire Department. So we consider Orchard Lake, Sylvan Lake, and Keego Harbor, we're all together. It's one community. And from time to time, a township board member will receive a compliment from a resident, not sharing where the boundaries rest. Like, oh, you have a beautiful community center in Sylvan Lake, or Keego Harbor, Magnolia, and the new stores. And when we hear these compliments about businesses that actually are in Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake, you know what we say? Thank you. We'll take the credit. Now, Bruce McIntyre, he and I have been friends for a long time, and don't hold it against him. He told you about the response time And we can say to you with certainty, confidence, and pride that approximately 4 minutes at most will pass by, will elapse after you call 911. So you will see a paramedic, you will see a firefighter, you will see a police officer. And this is important. We know time is of the essence, heart attacks, brain attacks. So about 5 months ago, a call is received at West Bloomfield Township. I answered the call, and it's a woman named Marcia. I've known Marcia for years. Whenever I see her, I don't know her. I can't remember her name, so I try to act as though I know her, but I've known her, somewhat. You know how politicians are. Great to see you. Who was that? So Marcia said to me, Steve, I want to share something with you. And I said, what? And she said, my husband died. And she lives in West Bloomfield. And I said, oh, sorry, Marcia. I'm so sorry to hear that. I didn't even know. I would have made a Shiva call. And she said, he died, but he's alive. She said, he was clinically dead. His heart had stopped. And I called 911, she said, and the West Bloomfield Fire Department responded with 2 trucks, and they revived him. CPR, his heart was activated. Taken to Henry Ford Hospital, and he survived. So I talked to her from time to time, and she was so proud of the West Bloomfield Fire Department. And of course, when I mentioned this to Chief Flynn, I said we should offer a commendation to the West Bloomfield Fire Department. And Chief Flynn, modest man, says this is what we do. This is what we're supposed to do. So fast forward, January 1, I decided with all my gluttony, I'm going to do something nice. And I'm going to help at a church in Detroit at 10 in the morning on January 1, handing out food to homeless people. And who was there? Marcia and her husband. And that was just wonderful. So I said to Marcia's husband, I said, she really wants you to be around. She liked that. We consistently have been rated, and I think Keego, Sylvan, and Orchard share this with us. We are one of the safest communities in Michigan. We have been rated as high as first safest, all the way to 15th, depending on which testing and studying agency you believe in. But we're a safe community, and it's attributable to many factors. One, the Township Board is insistent on funding public safety in a balanced, fair way, because we know our public demands it. We have 80 active police officers, including the command officers, and I believe we have 94, if I'm off by 1, Chief Flynn, don't hold it against me, 94 active firefighters. So this is important because it's the presence on the street. So why is West Bloomfield such a safe community? Among other things, it's the deterrent effect of having police cars in the area. At night, during the day, they're seen. Many of our neighborhoods have neighborhood safety, neighborhood watch, patrol, and that helps. Also, geography. The geography helps us because we don't have a freeway where somebody can jump on after committing a burglary or a carjacking. And it's hard to navigate around the lakes. And Chief Patton and Deputy Chief Lawson, I mean, these are great officers, but they would have to admit that sometimes we catch the bad guy because he's lost. He can't find his way near the lake. And as a former prosecutor, I can tell you with certainty that crooks talk. When they get together in jail or in prison, they're not conversing about whether they like Donald Trump. They're not talking about whether the Green Book should have won the Academy Award. They're talking about which areas they should infiltrate when they're released from prison after achieving rehabilitation. And I know this because I had one perpetrator tell me, he said, we stay away from West Bloomfield. So when he was released from prison, I sent him a map. And the map showed that Keego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake are part of West Bloomfield. All of you know about we have 28 lakes in West Bloomfield. We are known for being environmentally sensitive. We're proud of our environmental features. We have an environmental commission. Zoning Board and Planning Commission have some activity here, but it's difficult to navigate through those commissions because we insist that our standards be upheld. And you know that. You see all the wetlands and woodlands and Town Hall. You drive into Town Hall, and we have a fabulous library, one of the best a separate governing board. I wish Howard and I would like to take credit for the library, but the library has a separate governing board. But you drive into Town Hall and you just see how beautiful it is. So our Development Services Department recently was recognized by Michigan Township Association for LEED certified new construction projects. This is a very high standard, but we maintain it. We insist that our developers follow the code. And from time to time we have disagreements on the board, but I know all of us fervently believe in maintaining the environmental features. So not only can all of us appreciate them, but also our descendants. Kyle Mack, some of you know Kyle Mack. Kyle Mack is a West Bloomfield resident, and Kyle Mack won a silver medal for big air snowboarding. And in 2018, April, West Bloomfield Township and Parks and Recreation, or the Parks Commission, we collaborated and we hosted a Kyle Mack Day. And Civic Center TV with Dave Scott and Dave Elbury presiding, we had a wonderful event. And people still talk about the Kyle Mack Day. Now, my wife said to me, we were about to leave, and she said, I want my picture taken with Kyle Mack, and I want his autograph. So we drove all the way around, and she talks about Kyle Mack more than she mentions my name, but that's all right. Road Commission. You know that townships do not own the roads. It's roads. The roads that are contained in West Bloomfield are owned by the Road Commission, other than private streets. This means we rely on the Road Commission. So from time to time, or actually more than that, frequently a call emerges at Town Hall. There's a big pothole in my street, on my street, and I blew out a tire, and not only do I want you to reimburse me, I want that hole fixed today. We do not have a Department of Public Works. We could, Howard and I have talked about this, Terry and Jonathan too. We could seek additional funds through the millage, but I don't think our residents want to pay more taxes, so we rely on the Road Commission. And what we decided as a board, what are we going to do? The Road Commission has a finite amount of money. We want it all. But what can we do? We have maintained just a wonderful relationship with the Road Commission and the Road Commission staff, and that wasn't necessarily true years ago. And for example, they wanted West Bloomfield to offer some comments on a press conference regarding Orchard Lake Boulevard, and we did so. So when you call us and you say there's a pothole, we want to have that pothole repaired. We call the Road Commission for you. So, for example, a call will arrive at West Bloomfield Township Hall. Question, what's the number of the Road Commission? There's a big pothole on my street. We say, we'll make the call for you. We have a better chance as staff of reaching somebody at the Road Commission. And we beg and implore and beseech them to fix that pothole. This one woman says she hasn't seen her husband for a month because the pothole's so large, I think he's caught there. On May 3rd, we had our annual ceremony memorial honoring police officers, public safety members who gave their lives for all of us to be safe. And we will be holding another event. I'm not sure the date. It might be the second Friday in May, but we hope you can attend. It's to honor those who keep us safe. They give their lives, or at least potentially give their lives for all of us to feel safe. Household hazardous waste. Twice per year, we host a town hall. It's usually the third Saturday and the third Saturday of April, fourth Saturday of September. And last year we had over 3,000 vehicles, over 3,000 residents, and we also offer this to Sylvan Lake, Keego Harbor, and Orchard Lake. But we're becoming known now, renowned, that we have Household Hazardous Waste Day, and there are people who will call in January and say, I have some paint, I have some batteries, I have electronics, what do I do with them? Can you wait until April the 13th of this year? We'll be happy to dispose of them. But our staff enjoys it. We actually have more staff volunteering to participate in Household Hazardous Waste Day Saturdays from 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon than we can provide. Food Truck Tuesday. Food trucks, you probably saw them, you've seen them, and I'd like to give a shout out to Jennifer Tucker, who is the Executive Director of the Parks Commission. I know Robert Brooks is here, and I'm sure several other Parks Commissioners, but we've had a great collaboration with the Parks Commission. And we had an idea. This is one nice aspect of being a township board member, the 7 of us, because the staff generates these wonderful ideas. We receive the credit when they're good, and when they're not so good, I don't know where that came from. But Food Truck Tuesday, we had 6 different events. Chris Darcy from our office spearheads these. And on an average Tuesday, I think it's the first Tuesday of the month, the vendor will sell about $1,000 worth of products. That's important, not that we receive anything, we don't, but it's enough where he'll come back. We had Hunter House hamburgers one day, not the greatest for our waistlines. We had Mexican food, and we pledge again, thanks in part to, well, half the credit goes to Parks Commission, that we'll hold these again this year, starting in May, and I think you'll enjoy it. The trucks, as you know, are at the end of the park's driveway. We wish we could have it right where the library patrons park, but I don't think Clara Borer would appreciate that. We had an event at Orchard Mall honoring our veterans, and again, in collaboration with the Parks Commission. I think they did most of the work, but that was held at Orchard Mall probably in November, and it was just such a nice event seeing all these veterans who were honored and feted by Chief Patton and Chief Flynn and others. Henry Ford Access Road, that road has been built now, north off of 14 Mile, west of Drake. Extremely important to the public, because if ever the Henry Ford entrance off of Maple and Drake, west of Drake, were closed down, what would happen? How would emergency vehicles access Henry Ford Hospital? Concerned by residents, traffic, and you can't blame residents living near that road. Will it be loud? Will it be noisy? Will there be dust? Will there be partying? Will there be people drinking? And we assured them that that would not occur. There was a concern that people would use that road traveling west on 14 Mile, turning right into the emergency road, and then try to head out to 15 Mile. But residents have heeded that admonition, no through traffic. I don't know if any lives have been saved because the ambulances now can enter off of 14 Mile, but clearly a hospital like Henry Ford Hospital, one of the jewels of West Bloomfield, the largest employer in West Bloomfield, access has to be available, and we on the board and our staff made it happen, and we're very proud that that had occurred. Roundabout, another roundabout's coming, and that's on Maple and Middlebelt. People like roundabouts as long as they don't live near them. So roundabouts do move traffic. The severity of an accident is less, and you'll see the work will begin probably in 1 month. And Maple Road, unfortunately, between Middlebelt and Knollwood, will be closed for 3 or 4 months. Friendship Circle Walk. 3 years ago, we were approached by Friendship Circle. Friendship Circle had held their annual walk, and either people would meet at the Jewish Center or at Temple Israel, but they needed to meet at Town Hall because Maple Road was under construction. And we partnered with them. We've collaborated with them. And now they want to come back, and we said absolutely. Chief Patton is a miracle worker. He makes sure that everybody's safe, and he has his officers deployed because you never know what can occur when there's a large gathering. But we are proud, again, to host the Friendship Circle Annual Walk. Our art fair, the annual art fair, the fine Orchard Lake Art Fair, again, will take place this July. We hope you can visit on Saturday and Sunday. Oh, water bill. No increase this year. So although there are people who tell me I'm all wet, at least their water bills are not increasing. New developments nearing the end. West Bloomfield is nearly fully built. The plots, the parcels that are left for commercial development or housing developments oftentimes have unusual configurations. But we have a project, 209 homes, Balmoral, Haggerty Road, just south of Walnut Lake Road. Gary Shapiro is a developer. He lives in West Bloomfield. He cares about West Bloomfield. We're going to be able to provide housing to 209 families, high-quality housing. Other developments include West Trail, which is on the south side of Maple, near Halstead, and we have our first apartment building to be constructed, as long as I can remember, and that's a 192-unit, 4-story apartment complex called Town Court, and it's behind Panera on west side of Orchard Lake Road. So I think you'll enjoy that apartment. We're talking about high-class luxury apartments. Maccabi games are returning to West Bloomfield on August 4th through August 9th, and also Parks Commission. We wish we could take credit for all that they do. But their splash park is opening probably in spring, and that splash park will be a great splash in the community. We expect it to draw people. It'll be a destination site, and it also gives our residents pride in what we offer here. Oh, in closing, I would say that the 7 members of the Township Board were honored to serve you. This is a great position where we can help the community. We are members of the community. We care about the community. It's just our honor and privilege to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kaplan. Can I just say, I wish it was Food Truck Tuesday. I'm starving. Tonight's State of the Community's presentation comes to you live from Abbott Middle School on 89.3 WBLD, the all-new Lakes FM, and you may be watching us on Civic Center TV and viewing the live stream on civiccentertv.com. And remember, later, you'll have the chance to watch it all over again. And you will also have the opportunity to ask questions of our 4 presenters. So for this first ever historic State of the Communities, we sought out a location other those available in our participating municipalities. And the centrally located Abbott Middle School, which is where we are right now, very high on the list of locations. And fortunately, it all worked out. So the level of support from the Abbott team has been phenomenal, and we would like to say a special thank you to Abbott Assistant Principal Lisa Graff, who was very enthusiastic from the get-go. Lisa.
Thank you all for coming. I want to extend a welcome from the West Bloomfield School District to you. Abbott Middle School is proud to host this event, and we are honored to serve families from all of these communities. They're all here in this school, and we thank you for trusting us with your children every day. We do enjoy very much working with all the communities, and I do have to give a shout out to our fire and police because we have had to call them. I've been here about 25 years. We've called them a few times, and let me tell you, it's less than 4 minutes, Mr. Kaplan. They're fast. So again, thank you. I hope you enjoyed tonight.
Thank you, Lisa. We work and live in amazing communities, each beautiful and offering a very high quality of life. And while all of our communities have lakes, 2 of them incorporate their top landmark into the name of their communities. And our final presenter leads one of those communities. So please join me in welcoming Sylvan Lake Mayor Aaron Lorenz.
Thank you very much for being here tonight. I want to thank David Scott, Executive Director, and Executive Director Dave Alberry of Civic Center TV for organizing the first ever State of the Communities event. I also want to thank the wonderful staff that they have over here to our left. These people have done a tremendous job tonight, and it's really an outstanding show. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much. We would also like to thank Deb Macon and the West Bloomfield School District for providing tonight's venue. Lastly, thank you to the audience for attending and those watching on Civic Center TV. I'm very excited to be here and share our story. Sylvan Lake is located on the north end of Orchard Lake Road, the Orchard Lake Road corridor. Many of us in Sylvan Lake like to believe that the city is a secret, undiscovered and protected from the outside world. However, if you look back over here to my left or right, you'll see that the world is all around us. Pontiac Borders is on the north and the east, Waterford Township on the west, Bloomfield Township on the east, West Bloomfield Township to the south, and Keego Harbor to our west. Also, little known is that we border, our very, very southern border is Pine Lake Country Club, way, way down on our southernmost border, and we don't need a wall. Here we see City Hall in 1950. Thank you very much. Here we see City Hall in 1957 and 2019. As you can see on the surface, not much has changed. However, once you enter the City Hall, everything has changed. In 2018, we completed renovations in City Hall. It was revamped over the last 4 years in several phases to minimize the impact on our annual budget. We have vastly improved the entrance area and service desk, added a conference room, moved the police department to the ground floor, created a separate entrance for the police business, updated the evidence room, and added security cameras. I know this sounds like something that we should have had a long time ago, and these are all elements that many cities take for granted, but in Sylvan Lake, it's slow progress sometimes. The separation of departments provides for a safe and secure working environment for our city employees and visitors. John Martin, our city manager, led the project with input from his staff. Congratulations to all on a great job. The following is some basic information on our city. We have a AA+ credit rating, which is the highest credit rating for a city of our size. We have a population of approximately 1,850 people, and our current taxable value is roughly $92 million. We have over 12,000 feet of linear shoreline in the city, which allows us to have 165 DNR registered boat slips and racks for 40 kayaks that are leased to our residents. Houses in our city continue to be a fantastic investment. They have been increasing at a rate of just over 9% a year, which outpaces other cities, or most other cities in Oakland County. We have 10.8 acres of community parks, which by published metrics is sufficient to support a population of 2,800. Our main park and beach is located in the center of our city on Sylvan Lake. It is a private park that requires even residents to purchase a city park tag. This is probably one of the most near and dear assets to our residents. Sylvan Lake operates under a city manager form of government. The city council is the governing body that sets the policy. The city manager is the administrative agent assigned to carry out the policies determined by council. The city manager and attorney answer to council. All the other employees report to the city manager or department head. I like to make that clear because everybody thinks the mayor can just call the police or the fire department or the county road commission to get something done overnight, and that's not the way it is. And I have to say I was most amazed that people do call our DPW department to get their potholes filled, and now I have even more envy for West Bloomfield and Steve Kaplan that they can just call the county road commission. We do have our own police department and DPW, which operates with about 10 full-time employees. In November of 2018, there was a millage question on the ballot to amend our city charter. The proposal rolled 2 renewable millages into one 10-year renewable millage. As most of us know by now, these millages are commonly referred to Headley rollbacks. For those not familiar with the subject, when home prices appreciate, our millage rates are forced down, which limits our growth. Only physical improvements to existing structures or new developments bring significant additional tax revenue to the city. The proposal passed 61% to 39%. We thank the voters for their wisdom in passing the charter amendment. Like most cities, we make future projections of revenue and expenses. Currently, we project the future condition of our city using a 10-year rolling budget. As evidenced by our AA+ bond rating, the healthy general fund balance, we are currently in excellent financial condition. However, we know our millage rate will be forced down by the Headley Amendment again, and expenses will rise due to inflationary pressures and new regulations enacted by various government bodies, the latter possibly being the more onerous. Although many of our residents indicate they will vote through a millage to keep the city the same, it is your elected officials and city managers' fiduciary responsibility to plan for the future. What if the day comes when the residents say no to our renewable millage or a necessary additional millage? There's a chance city officials will be told you should have added revenue when you had a chance. As previously indicated, the most likely areas to look for to increase our revenue is the improvement of existing built-out properties and underutilized property. Our most likely area to gain revenue comes from our residential and commercial property owners upgrading or replacing their property. Based on past history, we might increase our taxable value by $1 million in any given year. From these improvements, the increase provides approximately $13,500 in additional revenue each year, or an additional 1.2%. Not a lot. The Whitfield School property is our most precious and underutilized parcel of property. As most of us know, it is the vacant property along Orchard Lake Road next to the DTE Service Center. If developed, based on subjective estimates, an additional annual operating revenue for the city is approximately $130,000, which translates into, for us, an extraordinary 11.9% increase in revenue. In addition to the direct revenue from the redeveloped property, we would also expect commercial properties in the Orchard Lake Road corridor to gain increased interest from investors, and residential properties to rise due to the improved image of the city's gateway. Both of these outcomes will also increase our revenue. There is also the DTE property that primarily resides in Bloomfield Township. It is our understanding that DTE will be moving to the Summit Place Mall. We have been in contact with Bloomfield Township in an attempt to have them collaborate with us on and the potential sponsors to redevelop the parcel in a manner that meets the vision of the Northern Orchard Lake Road corridor. Approximately 1/3 of the DTE property resides in Sylvan Lake. Here's a development concept for the Whitfield property that cannot be built under our current planned unit development ordinance, more commonly referred to as a PUD. A PUD is not intended to avoid the imposition of standards and requirements of a district. Rather, flexibility is permitted so that the PUD plan provides advantages to both the developer and the city. If the property is redeveloped using the PUD ordinance, the sponsor submits an application to the Planning Commission for the proposed development. If it is acceptable, the Planning Commission will place it on their agenda for public hearing. After further review, the Planning Commission shall provide a report and recommendation to the City Council, at which time the City Council will get to wrestle with the project. Here we see the current state of affairs to what is referred to as the gateway to our city. On April 2nd, Planning Commission will again review the PUD ordinance to consider changes. There are 3 sections of the ordinance being considered: the multifamily number of dwellings per acre and dimensional parking language. Our residents are very passionate about the small town feel of Sylvan Lake and have been heard regarding the potential changes to our PUD ordinance. We have wonderful city planners, a great city manager, a thorough planning commission, a thoughtful city council, and potentially a seasoned and successful sponsor interested in redeveloping the property. We are working to preserve the feel of Sylvan Lake and at the same time enhance its future. I am confident our residents' comments are being taken into consideration regarding any changes that might be made to the PUD ordinance. This is the property across from City Hall. We are very excited that a sponsor has decided to open a farm-to-table restaurant dining establishment in our city at this location. I believe it is going to be called the Sylvan Table. It will have a greenhouse and gardens that support their menu, outdoor seating and walking paths to explore the property. The sponsor is moving a historic barn originally built in the 1800s from Maine to house the restaurant. We welcome their investment and wish them and the rest of our very wonderful dining establishments success. Our city's fire and EMS services are provided by the West Bloomfield Fire Department. The service we receive is outstanding and is well above the national average for its cost. It's a great example of the collaborative efforts of our 3 cities, and I thank the West Bloomfield community for working with our 3 cities to put this Tri-City Fire Department together and serve our 3 cities. So thank you very much. This is a little bit of therapy for me, maybe. What is not fair is that we split the cost of this service equally among 3 cities. Taxes collected for this service are typically based on property values. I commend the Tri-City Fire Board Chairman and Orchard Lake resident, Dave Berger, for his stance that if we used property value to calculate the cost of the service to the cities, it would not be fair to Orchard Lake. However, looking at the metrics in the table, I cannot help but feel we let ourselves get taken advantage of back in 2003. At this point, short of threatening to leave the Tri-City agreement, we have no leverage to renegotiate the deal. However, once again, I am asking the Tri-City Fire Board to revisit the current split and provide some relief to Sylvan Lake. $50,000 is the number I'll throw out there. I would probably take $10. It would just make me feel better. We have the smallest population, the least amount of calls, and are the furthest away from the closest station. The city of Orchard Lake Village not only has one substation inside of its boundary, they have another brand new substation being constructed on their western boundary. I'm asking the Fire Board Commissioners again to please revisit this subject and right this wrong. Now let's get back to the fun stuff. Thank you to our volunteers. First on the list is the Parks and Recreation. This group has provided our city with many activities for years and years. Listed are some of the programs and events that they have put on. Patrick Runk is the chairman and always welcomes volunteers. Also pictured here are two of the most active members of the group, Patty Harrop and Terry Etter. Thank you also to the Sylvan Lake Garden Club. Some of their events are the annual ice cream social in August, monthly work days, the perennial plant exchange, monthly gatherings, and they too are always welcoming others to join them in their dirt and dishes pursuits. Thank you to Helen Jane Peters and her Sherpa, Pete Peters. As many of you know, Helen Jane has documented a treasure trove of historical events and documents and has been invaluable to our city as a historian. Her accomplishments are too many to mention. One of her more recent efforts has been the storyboards located around the area. Thank you, Helen Jane, and all of those that help you. Thank you to Jim Smith and his team for organizing an excellent Memorial Day parade and service to recognize the men and women that gave their lives for our freedom. The parade starts at City Hall and winds its way through Sylvan Lake and concludes for a brief service at Memorial Park. The color guard raises the flag to half-mast. Our own city manager and sometimes his son sing the national anthem. An invocation is given. There is a roll call of Sylvan Lakers that made the supreme sacrifice, followed by a moment of silence. A veteran roll call is made to recognize the veterans that are in attendance. There is the placement of the memorial wreath by the Garden Club, after which taps is played and God Bless America is sung. There are many, many volunteers that make this event happen. Special mention goes to Kathy Jensen for face painting and Kathy Robbins for her veteran recognition efforts. She finds and diligently keeps track of where our veterans are and where they're going. And finally, thank you to John Martin for his musical talents. We also have the Sylvan Lake Home Garden Tour. They identified approximately 6 or 7 homes and gardens to tour. It's a huge effort that requires a tremendous amount of planning and person power to assure it is the success that it is. The funds raised from the tour have funded many city improvements. Some of these are the community center kitchen, a new sign for City Hall, and chairs and tables for the community center. Thank you for everyone that makes this happen. John Martin, thank you to John Martin, City Manager and Public Works Manager. Great job filling 2 roles and maintaining your sanity while helping volunteers and mentoring various boards and City Council. Denise Dryden, thank you to Denise Dryden, Treasurer and City Clerk, another longtime employee doing 2 jobs to help minimize the cost structure in Sylvan Lake. Thank you to the Police Department. We're extremely pleased that the voters continue to support funding to maintain an independent police department. You're doing a great job. The support you have received from voters is evidence of your fantastic work. Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake, and West Bloomfield, we owe it all to these men and women for the great record that we have for safety in our communities. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank the entire Sylvan Lake team, which includes the DPW and office support staff. A special thank you to Brian and Kevin for always rising to the occasion to respond to so many different situations, morning, noon, and night. Again, thank you to Helen Jane for the many pictures she forwarded to me for this presentation, to Jim Smith for pictures and guidance, and also to Jan Hayes and Bill Brundage for providing me information regarding Sylvan Lake real estate. And all of you in the audience and watching on TV, thank you for your time and thank you for your interest.
And of course, we would like one more round of applause. That was kind of wimpy. Come on. This is our first annual State of the Communities. And what a great evening. So thank you, all of you, for sharing your thoughts about your communities. And we look forward to hearing more about all those real estate agents in the back. I would also like to recognize the West Bloomfield School District for hosting the event, including Superintendent Dr. Jerry Hill, Marketing Manager Dan Durkin, Abbott Principal Amy Hughes, Assistant Principal Lisa Graff, and also the custodial staff at Abbott, so we'll have to make sure that we're not messy, okay? Special thanks to Cable Commissioner Executive Director Dave Alberry, also Civic Center GM Dave Scott, and Program Director Tyler Kieft. And also we'd like to thank Motown Digital for AV support, and a yummy thank you to Butchery and Bella, Lena Hospitality in Sylvan Lake, who have a great assortment and variety of treats and beverages waiting out in the back of the cafeteria. And so thank you. Finally, we'd like to thank you for listening and also for watching and joining us on Civic Center TV, and also for your participation in the involvement in our community's success. It's very, very important. As you can see tonight, when we shine a light of sunshine on what happens in local government, we all win. So stick around, mingle, have refreshments, enjoy each other's company, network, it's very important. And I'm Brooke Allen. Have a great night.